There's any difference between a non-EU and a EU students. So for example, my program is very diverse.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into D Education. So in today's episode, we have a very special guest here. Hi Karthik, welcome to D Education.
Hey Ravi, thanks for having me here. This is a very wonderful opportunity to share my design experience journey to more aspiring designers, I guess.
That's wonderful, Karthik. So how was your Saturday so far?
A very lazy morning. I guess I got up late and just ate, got ready for this talk with you.
Wonderful, Karthik. So if you could give a brief about yourself to our viewers out there.
Sure. So I'm Karthik and I'm from Chennai, south of India, coastal city. Then I did like a very normal engineering degree, which is on information and communication technology, mix of both IT and ECE studies. Then I just entered the industry as a designer. I started as a web designer and then like slowly moved into UX, learned like front end, experimented. I worked for 4 years and now I'm in Uppsala, Sweden. I'm doing my second year master's in human computer interaction.
That's wonderful, Karthik. So let's talk in this episode on your journey to Uppsala and few
Sure.
insights on Uppsala that you can share with us. So first and foremost, what made you choose an institute that's there in Sweden? And why not have masters in US and all? Because most of the people prefer US as a master's this thing. So any specific reason from your side?
Okay, like everyone, I wanted to do a master's right after my bachelor's, but then I got the question like, okay, what is the point of doing a master's without even knowing where you want to end up? So I had like two streams. One was data science, engineering, and then design. And luckily, I got into a design job right after my graduation, like just 2 days after graduation. Then it was a very big organization in India, which is Zoho, and I joined the team Site 24/7, which is the monitoring solution for IT and DevOps professionals. So there, I was put into like many tasks. I learned like almost everything, like marketing, visual design, UX, front end development. So it was more like a multifaceted job because Zoho is a very huge organization, but they wish people to learn beyond their job descriptions because it improves the stakeholder communications and all those things. And I was very lucky because I was put in a team which started a very new product, and so it was just a team of like three people. So I led the design. We had the manager who was like the developer, so it was really good. Then 4 years went like this. We learned a lot. We experimented. Then COVID came, and that's when a sort of imposter syndrome kicked in. When like people tell you are doing a good job, like your designs are good, but still you have the question like, okay, are we like still good? So I took up a challenge of testing out my abilities. So I was like, okay, let's work on a portfolio. Let's start applying and see. Let's re-bring in the dream of doing a master's. But this time, I know what I want to do. I wanted to like explore more into design. So I chose either interaction design or human computer interaction. So it's all like the same field but different names, I guess, or like slightly different syllabuses. So then I started looking out for universities, and of course I didn't reject the offers from US, Canada. So I was like starting to see, okay, where all we can go. And I still had like India in the options because I was very much impressed with NIDs. And so I have a lot of people in my network and also my seniors very close who were a part of these prestigious institutions, and they were all like guiding me throughout. And so when this exploration was going on, I was pretty interested in Europe because I'm a photographer as well. I wanted to travel. So Europe was a good place to travel to a lot of new places while studying, and the study load was very minimal. Like you don't have like so many like a very rigid structure. It's like changes to place. And Sweden was a bit impressive because like they had a very open education system, and the tuition fees were also like a bit affordable. And then I had a lot of friends there, so it was a very good place to like kickstart my master's. So I thought like, okay, let's choose Sweden and get prepared for it. And they didn't ask much. They asked for like an IELTS test, then your portfolio. And okay, this changes for each university. Some universities required a letter of recommendation, but in my case, I already graduated. I was working, so I had a minimal time to choose what I want. So I just went for universities which are like good, very reputed, but asked for less things. So I shortlisted four, and Uppsala was one of them. And I got a like an admit here, so I then moved here.
That's wonderful, Karthik. So, if you could help us guide through what are the different steps that you took for applying for a master's program at Sweden?
Okay, so in my opinion, applying for master's program anywhere does is a bit transparent process. So you don't need an I see a lot of people going to counselors or some agencies to do this, but I feel like you can do it on your own. It's not like a very hard task. And when it comes to Sweden, Sweden has a unified application system, so which they call like the university admissions. So that is a portal through which you apply all your programs, then the courses which follows once you enroll to a program. So it's like you revisit the same portal every time you do something. And I guess an application cost was like 900 Swedish kroners, which is close to maybe like 7,000 to 8,000 Indian rupees at that time. And you can apply for four universities of your choice of different programs. They don't like limit you with anything. And then you also have the liberty to choose whether you need a 1 year master's program, a 2 year master's program. So it's up to you. Then you sort of rank your preferences. Then you submit the relevant documents. You upload your documents related to your curriculum, motivation letters, ID credentials, and everything to that portal, and the application starts. So one thing about like Sweden, or I guess it goes for Sweden, is like the process are very like a long time process. So it just not happen like quickly. So you will learn the true meaning of the word patience. And we had to wait for a long time to get the results back. We had to um, once we get the results, you have to accept your position, and once you're done with it, you get the right documents from the university to start your migration process. So then that is a standard student migration process for like Sweden. You go to the embassy in the Delhi, you first apply for it, you get your decision whether they allow you to enter the country. Then you go to Delhi, you give your biometrics, photos, and then you get your card with which you can like fly. It's a Schengen card, so you can also use the same permit to travel inside Europe for 90 days, I guess.
Wow, that's wonderful, Karthik. So now that you have reached there and you have studied now for 1.5 years or so, so how was your
Yeah.
experience at Uppsala?
One, I came with a very open mind. I didn't have much expectations. Of course, there was expectations about the infrastructure which the university will provide me. But I guess Uppsala is brilliant, and almost like most Swedish universities are brilliant because they have a lot of resources which you as a student should utilize to maximize your learning. For example, like we have access to research publication portals. We have access to libraries online, like you can like download ebooks. So it's a very transparent and open system, and they also give you the liberty. Say for example, if I didn't like a certain portion in my syllabus, I have the opportunity to approach a student union, I can like tell them like we need to improve it in this aspect, and of course they will take into consideration and make the change in maybe 2 years, but still the change happens. So they are in for like what the students need and what they feel they need, and also like the first semester is more like the courses are mostly prescribed to you. It's like some foundational courses you can take, but the second, third semesters are like it's up to you. You can shape your masters in however you want. So in my case, I wanted to dive deep into like HCI. So I wanted to go into the direction of tangible interactions and all those things. So I chose my electives based on those things. And also now I'm more interested in like the industrial aspect. So the business, how business and design goes hand in hand. So now I chose courses more on like design economics and all those things. So in a way, system is more transparent. You have the liberty to shape your program into however you want.
That's actually a great thing, and the student union thing and inclusion of your thoughts and process into the curriculum is a very big thing in terms of universities. It's wonderful to know that. So,
True.
Karthik, how is your experience in terms of engagement with fellow students, and how is your experience with interacting with the faculty available there as a foreign student?
Okay. Uppsala gives a lot of priorities for fee-paying students. So basically, in Sweden, people from the EU region don't need to pay any tuition fees, so they can study for free. But we, the students who come from non-EU regions, have to pay the fees. But we do get a lot of advantages in terms like we get a really high value health insurance. So there are like a lot of administrative stuff going on in preference to the fee-paying students. When it comes to academics, I guess there is no difference between EU, non-EU, these things, except when it comes to the credits which we can consume in a program. So this master's needs like 120 ECTS, the European credit system. But the non-EU students, since they don't pay a fee, they have the liberty to take more than 120 because we pay for the credits. And apart from that, apart from the administrative stuff, I don't think there's any difference between a non-EU and a EU students. So for example, my program is very diverse. I guess we have like, at the moment, we have like 40 people, and I have like two Indian friends, and like the rest of all are from like Europe, Australia, like the Americas, and it's like so inclusive. And the people who come to Uppsala are like coming from a variety of backgrounds. For example, I have friends who are like musicians, who ran a bakery, who was like doing some medical assistance. So when you ask them like why they entered this program, everyone has a valid reason to explore this field because some find it more humanizing field, some find it more which puts them close to technology aspects. So this is a very interesting thing. And when it comes to how Uppsala has structured the program, it is more towards the social science aspect rather than the IT aspect. And also like um, it's more towards the academic side rather than the practical side. So this was very interesting when I was like in the early stages of choosing a university because I got like two other really good universities in Sweden, but I went for Uppsala because when I spoke with people who were like helping me out to get an opinion about these universities, they said like they found Uppsala interesting because the take on Uppsala is more like take towards HCA is more like they teach you the foundational concepts rather than the tools. And I was a bit curious to know like why they took this approach. And the designers to whom I spoke, they were like, see, the tools might change as time goes, but the concepts won't change even when like 10 years pass. Maybe it gets updated, but you will learn the updated concepts. For example, like if some university or like if you learn UX by thinking like, okay, Figma is enough to learn UX, or like Figma is enough to learn UI, and say now Adobe has got Figma. We don't know how things might change, and you might be put in a delusional state like, okay, now the tool we know is changing. Do we still will be able to design? But what if you know the foundational concepts of design? What if you know how color works, how typography works, how spacing works? The tool doesn't matter. You can apply the same knowledge in any tool you get. It's more like trying to drive a car. So if you practice for a particular car, if you practice for more like a manual car, you will like feel a bit of fear when you go to an automatic car, and you might even think like maybe we are not fit to drive this. But what if you learn how the road works, how the car works, how the steering works? So for this reason, I found like Uppsala really good. And when I entered my program, I thought it will be more academic because like everyone said this. But then I found like it is not true as well, because now the programs are structured in a way like, say, a course runs for 2 months. The first 3 or 4 weeks are like theory, where they teach you lectures, where we have like seminars where we have to read a lot of research papers, prepare questions out of that, where we will put in a random group and we have to keep discussing around us. And then the next 1 month is where they give a project, where you have like a topic given, and it's totally up to you how you approach the problem. And you will implement all the things you learn from the seminars, from the lectures into this project. So you have a academic base and the practical knowledge built over there. And this comes really good because since I told people are coming from various backgrounds, say if I approach a problem towards the design side, I have a friend who approaches the problem from the technical side because he has a developing background. So this as a designer is very interesting because it's very challenging, because you have to deal with like problems which you might later deal in your life when you work in an industry, when you work under a structure of in an organization. And that's why all the projects in Uppsala are mostly group projects, because they want to get you ready for the industry or even the academic space. Because even in the HCI research space, you mostly work with a team. At least like there are like some projects done individually, but you still need to know how collaboration works, how brainstorming works. So I feel like as a international student, I never regretted for choosing Uppsala, because it's structured in a way like it put things, it makes sense like why they do it this way.
That's wonderful, Karthik. Like two things, like craft is more important than tool, and your creative explorations and collaboration is a core part of design. So a great insights on that. So let's talk about your experience in terms of like how is the fee structure, like how economical is basically Sweden.
At first, I thought it was economical, but because the tuition fees were way less than the average college in the US. For example, like say you go to a tier two college in the US, not an Ivy League, it costs close to like 40 to 50 lakhs for the entire studies, or like here the tuition fees was close to 20 to 25 lakhs, but still the living expenses are more. So it almost comes same level of the US. So I won't tell there's a big economic differences when it comes to these aspects, but let's take me into consideration. So what I did was I saved heavily when I was working, and I didn't want to get my, I don't know why I chose that, but I didn't want to ask my parents to help my studies because I thought I still can do something. Of course, they did help initially with some miscellaneous expenses. And so what I did was I got an educational loan for my tuition fees, and the rest I just manage with my savings, which comes from my salary, from investing. So I sort of managed it with this, and I also like had like a lot of free time in my schedule. So when it comes to like at least in Sweden, or I can talk for the European countries because I know the people. So they work from maybe 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, and that's it. It ends there. So the day ends at 5. So there's no school work after 5. It's you can literally work in the school, finish your work within 5, and then you have the free time through which I initially for the first 1 year I learned Swedish, but now I'm more exploring like new sports and all the other things. So you have this, and along with this, I found like I still have time. So I got into a part-time job in Stockholm, which is in an immersive tech company. So they hired me as a UX designer. I have to evaluate the systems. I have to come up with a framework for the company because they are like scaling up. So they need like structure to follow when it comes to like releasing applications and all those things. So in a way, I get knowledge from the university and also have the job, the work experience from the part time, and it also pays me well. So really good mix of how you can manage your expense and lead a lifestyle which puts you in a place where you can explore your life. Because when you come to a international space, when you move away from your home, it's time for you to meet new people, learn new things. So for which you really need money in a place like Sweden, because many recreational stuff is like for free. For example, like you can go out, play in the parks, you have like free nets and everything, but still if you want to learn something, you still have to pay. And this is a good way to make money and like learn these things. So on an economical aspect, it is as similar as the US, but you do have opportunities to do part times, work in student fraternities and get like a minimal wage, which I, in my opinion, is good to get started with.
That's wonderful, Karthik. Thank you so much for sharing all these wonderful insights with us. So
Yeah.
before I conclude, wanted to know from you, how did design education has shaped you into a better designer and a person?
First of all, like thanks for this opportunity and thanks for interviewing a lot of like fellow designers previously, because I know the struggle of finding a good university, because of course we all have like certain specified mediums in which we go and search, talk with people, but we still know the administrative aspects of that, how to apply, how the syllabus is like structured and those things, but we never get to know how the life will be when you move to a new place. And I feel like design education like gives me the chance to know all these things, also like get into touch with people in different countries, different levels of institutions. I feel like even my thoughts will help some new people, so feel free to approach me. I can help you with getting into how to apply for universities in Sweden or something. So thanks a lot for doing this, and I'm really happy to be a part of this.
Thank you so much, Karthik. So folks who are watching this video, I'll be attaching Karthik's LinkedIn and Instagram here. So if you have any doubts, feel free to reach out to Karthik. He's happy to help
Sure.
us out. So thank you once
Sure.
again, Karthik. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Ravi. Same for you. Have a great weekend and do more such things, and I will be happy to contribute to this in any way possible.